Hey everybody, welcome back to Raise High at GW from Tonic here inside the world's most powerful city with Jamie and Christian. I'm Kevin Burke. Thanks so much for tuning in. And Coach, there's a lot of stuff we want to talk about on the court, but there's a lot of stuff that's happened so far this year that has pushed basketball to the back of our minds. How's your team's mindset right now with everything going on?
You know, our team, they're doing great. They have a great enthusiasm about themselves. They recognize the challenges that are with coming to school here in Washington, D.C., and they listen and read the news like everybody else. Their enthusiasm to get back out there and be together has been special.
Wednesday, January 6th was a day none of us will ever forget, and it's a very unique day in that you were supposed to have a game and then everything that happened. Take us through that day for you and what that day was like.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. You know, riding into the district that day and kind of pulling into the district, you could see and feel it's just a little bit different day. The number of people that were walking around maskless with flags and different materials, you could just feel that it was a little bit different. It was a little bit different crowd in that day. And, you know, I remember like pulling up to the light and I had a green light actually, and there was like waves of people just walking across the street, not paying attention to the rules of the road that day. And I just remember thinking, wow, that's really different. And, you know, again, here in the district, we have protests, you know, once a week or pretty often. So, you know, it doesn't really change our way of life very much here. But on that day, we could tell it was a little bit different. And then we kind of got in and got in the shoot around that day and started kind of working ourselves into game mode. And then a little bit after shoot around, it was like sirens are going off everywhere. And there was just a large recognition that something was going on. And when that happens, you kind of tune into your Twitter and to CNN and just try to get information. And so when you started seeing what was going on at the Capitol building, you know, first of all, we were really scared for our players and those students that are here on campus. We want to make sure that we're always doing what we can to keep them safe. So playing the game wasn't really an option because of what was going on not too far away from campus. And it just became into about player safety and student athlete safety. It was great working with Tanya, our athletic director, and Lauren Shearer, our director of basketball operations, as we were trying to put together a plan to allow our players just to be safe. Then we got in contact with UMass. We were able to move the game back to whenever, able to get them out of here. And then we kind of just all watched the news like everyone else and was amazed and astonished by what was going on. But I was happy we were able to get our players to a safe point and we were able to take care of them.
You've always had your team mindful of social justice and what is right and what you stand for. Where does that come from?
Well, I mean, you know, I think so many times in an athlete's life, you are only whatever sport you play. And I've always felt like that was wrong. You know, we've always wanted to use our abilities on the basketball floor to be a tool for whatever we want to achieve in life. I get that from my mom and my dad. My dad being an All-American track and field, my mom being a teacher for so long. The priority's always been education and how we can have more education and learn more. So that's where everything for me really starts as a foundation. And I want them to be knowledgeable about what's going on around the world. I want them having those kind of discussions inside our locker room. We have a great responsibility to help educate them on how they can communicate these tough issues. I mean, these issues are complicated. They're not simple. And so having an opportunity to be able to communicate that with our team and then hopefully them being able to go out into the world and having an ability to communicate that with others, that's how you change the world. It's through those kind of conversations, through that kind of drive.
So what are those conversations like? How do you approach that?
Well, I mean, number one, you start with the images. And then I think the big thing for us is trying to create an environment where the discussion is always ongoing. You know, I was talking to a lot of my coaching friends through the last few months. I was surprised at how when an event comes up, they're just now talking about the event. Where I feel like in our program, we have an environment where we're constantly talking about what's going on in the world, whether it's what's going on in Europe or what's going on in New Zealand or what's going on in the United States. We're constantly talking about these different things that are going on. So when these events kind of happen, it's much more of a conversation between our group instead of like an isolated event where we're pulling a Zoom meeting at 9 o'clock at night to discuss what's happened today. We're constantly in our group chat talking about it. And it's good to try to build an environment like that. And I'm encouraging a lot of coaches and teachers out there to try to build that environment because I think that's important, that we're not just, you know, talking about an event, but we're really talking about our way of life and the way the world is shaping itself.
And now on top of everything in the season, unlike any other, is the pandemic, and your team is paused for a game immediately after that. What was that like to just throw that on top of everything else that had happened?
Well, you know, when we decided to come back here and play, and, you know, we met with our parents who've been amazing through this process. We met with our school officials who've been amazing through this process. And we met with our team, and we kind of just laid out, you know, there's going to be a lot of starts and stops. And And I think number one, you just have to anticipate that. And, you know, we knew this was going to happen at some point. We didn't know when, and so we just anticipated it. And so when it came up, you know, again, it was a conversation that we had with our team about, you know, this is where we are, and it really, you know, for our guys, they wanted to play badly because they love to compete, but they understood that, you know, we were one of the few teams in the country that hadn't been paused at all, and so they recognized and appreciate our ability to be able to do that, and they're excited for the challenge to keep moving forward, to keep trying to fight against, you know, this pandemic in the best ways we can.
Have there been any silver linings you've taken from the season, though?
I think our connectivity as a group is really going to benefit us as we're still laying the foundation for our program. And some of these issues we've had to discuss, some of the things we've had to be a part of, only makes you stronger as a unit. And I think that's really going to help us. As you know, we always talk about connection being our gift to the world, and there's nothing that connects you more than working through difficult situations. And we've been working through that, you know, for the last 6 months really. And I'm proud to be with the group that I am. The way they're able to communicate with one another, the way they're able to just really enjoy our time that we have together, has really been special. And you know, again, I think if you can do that through a tough time, you know, when we get this thing rolling, it's going to be a lot of fun to be around these guys.
How long ago does that season opener at Navy feel like to you?
Well, you know, the season is always a journey. I always say that. It's, you know, anytime you hear me to talk about the season, it's always about the journey. And you know, it seems like a long time ago, but in a normal year, it would seem like a long time ago. You know, you look at the guys that are on the floor running around for Navy that day. Our team is different. Their mindset is different. Their understanding and their growth is different. And so for me, it's really about just appreciating all those different steps, those steps along the way. You know, again, seeing where we are today, seeing how far we've come, and that gives you a glimpse of how far you can go. And so we just try to do a great job with our group of just making sure they understand, like, there are going to be highs and lows. Even if we were undefeated right now, there are going to be highs and lows. You just define those highs and lows differently. It's just all about us appreciating our growth, seeing where we've come from, and then attacking each day.
We're going to talk more about basketball after the break, but first we want to hear from head women's basketball coach Jennifer Rosati and her post-game comments on the events at the Capitol and her conversations with her team.
You know, it hasn't been an easy week here in D.C. I mean, as you guys know, it's GW students that we tend to be in the middle of things, and I had a lot of people reach out to ask if we were okay or we were safe. And, you know, the answer to that physically is, yeah, we're safe. You know, like we're far enough removed, and campus security and police were, you know, well prepared to make sure that our student athletes were secure. But, you know, we're not always okay mentally and emotionally. So, you know, this was a big game. It's always fun to play Dayton, but I know these guys have a lot on their minds, so I'm just trying to make sure they keep fighting and not worry so much about what our record is or how many shots we're missing, because I just think it's really important that we don't just wear Black Lives Matter t-shirts or put it on our court, but we stand for what's right, and we, you know, condemn the actions of the rioters over the week, and we continue to elevate our student athletes and especially our Black student athletes, and stand by them and fight for them and let them know that, you know, they will always matter. Not just while they're at GW, but for the rest of my life. So I'm, you know, just proud of the kids in general for staying together as a group and, you know, making sure that they had each other's back. You know, I think there's a lot of people in the country that wonder whether we should even be making them play, but they need this. They need the break. They need the physical exertion, and they need to have their family around them, their second family around them, to support them through these times. So this isn't just about COVID or making kids play through COVID. This is about them being with their second family and feeling more secure that they have people that are always going to support who they are as human beings. So, you know, I know we've got a lot to work on. I know you guys have questions for me basketball-wise, but I just want to make it clear that there's nothing that we can't fix on the basketball court when we can continue to work as hard and stay as together as we stayed and support each other, regardless of the color of the skin of the players on our team. We've continued to stand for what's right this entire season.
When you get the diagnosis of cancer, you don't know how you're going to handle it. You really don't know what's coming down the road for you. I was diagnosed with stage 4 oral cancer. The doctors at GW Hospital were fantastic. They were willing to advocate for an alternative treatment that had better outcomes for me, better life over a longer term with fewer side effects. I want to say thank you for getting me through cancer treatment and back to living my life.
From routine care to life-saving emergencies, we're here for you, the George Washington University Hospital.
Fans, support GW's 500 student athletes with a gift to GW Athletics. Your gift will support GW student athletes to succeed in competition in the classroom and in the community. Give today at go.gwu.edu/give to athletics. Thank you for your generosity to GW Athletics.
With the great technology at GW Hospital and the great doctors, I am now cancer-free. I was able to see where my mass was with the help of virtual reality technology. The doctor came in saying he removed it all. I feel wonderful. GW Hospital is the best. They truly take care of you.
From routine care to life-saving emergencies, we're here for you, the George Washington University Hospital.
Do you miss GW basketball game days? Look no further than The Sweet Life. The Sweet Life is delivered directly to you and includes GW Adidas gear, GW branded game day essentials, your own fan cutout in the Smith Center, access to exclusive GW content, and so much more. Visit gwsports.com/sweetlife today and pick the package that's right for you.
Welcome back to Race High at GW. I'm Kevin Burke with head men's basketball coach Jamie and Christian. And coach, the last time we talked, it's been a while, but now your team on the court has really started to find its footing here in the beginning of conference play. What's changed in the last month or so?
Just our connectivity. You know, I thought our players having a chance to go home for a few days to see mom and dad and kind of hang out a little bit, gave them a little bit of a breath. But I think they were encouraged to come back here. You know, one of the things we try to talk so much about with our group is just about learning from our successes and our failures. And I think that what that allowed us to do is be able to continue to improve and not worry about our record. You know, you always want to wrap truth in hope. And I think we just try to do a great job of that. And I think by being able to do that, our guys never look at the record and feel like it's a destination. They know we have more to give. And they're really locked into the process of getting better. And they came back with that kind of attitude. And again, they're a fun group to be around when they feel that way.
Now, you had a little bit of a roster shuffle before Fordham, and then you come out and you tie your biggest margin of victory ever since you've been here. How did the near misses in non-conference play and what you just talked about really play into putting together a complete effort to start A10 play?
Well, I think number one is acknowledging the things that we were doing well in non-conference play. We weren't getting the results that we wanted, but our team was really competing. We were playing in close games. I mean, I think we lost 4 or 5 games by 1 possession. You know, I think we were the unluckiest team in the country by a lot of different publications, and those things kind of happen sometime. But it's all about learning in those experiences, and I think the fact that we were that close helped us in the game versus Duquesne, because we had just been in that situation so many times, needing to get a stop D and needing to get a score. And our guys were really comfortable in the huddle, really for the first time all year. And so I think the non-conference really helped shape us at the beginning of A10 play. And I think it's going to continue to allow us to grow and continue to learn from it.
Another in the oddities that are included in this year, I guess everything's odd at this rate, but you play Duquesne, you find out you're playing them not just once, but twice. Take us through that weekend, because obviously you ended it with such an exclamation mark, but to have to play the same team back-to-back days, what was that whole weekend like?
Yeah, honestly, I was really excited for it. I mean, not in my career had I had a chance to prepare for a game like that, or our team hadn't had a chance to prepare for something like that. So it was really exciting. I mean, this situation has put us in, scheduling has been a challenge, trying to figure all these things out. But when you really appreciate the challenge of something, and I proposed it to our team, like, let's see how much we've grown in 12 hours. Right? And can we take what they did against us 12 hours ago and turn against them and put out our best performance of the year? And we're able to do that. And, winning in a back-to-back fashion or winning in short prep is all about mental and physical toughness. And it's way more mental than it is physical. And so I think the energy that our team feels on the practice floor right now and our preparation for games is that mental energy that we're able to really exert in that game and really to have great focus. Kevin, for the first time here, we played with some emotion, and the emotion didn't overwhelm us. Our emotion focused us, put us closer together as a unit, and we really responded and played some of our best basketball of the year.
After the Saturday game, how much did you do? Because I know you don't sleep, but in terms of scouting and changing everything to get ready for the same team the next day, how much changed?
We actually pivoted decently defensively on some things that we wanted to work on, and again, I just looked at it with our group like, what an amazing challenge, right? I mean, let's see what we can do. I mean, I've got a young group of guys who haven't played a ton of games here at GW, so I want to see how much they can grow. I want to see how agile they can be, and we're pretty agile. We made some small defensive changes that really, really helped us in the course of the game, and we made some really small tweaks offensively, and the guys went out there and executed it flawlessly. And, you know, you don't see a lot of young teams have the ability to be able to do that, but we were able to do that. And that's exciting for us as we try to work towards tournament play, you know, here in March, is that, you know, we can pivot and change, you know, pretty quickly, and not a lot of people can do that. That's a major strength of our team that we're definitely going to try to continue to use.
I'm really looking forward to the book that people are going to write about this season, not just for here, but for the whole year in terms of everything that's gone on. But two guys that have really shown for your team, you have James Bishop, Jamison Battle, neither of whom were A-10 preseason honorees, but now they're the top scoring tandem in the league. What's making them click together?
Well, number one, they enjoy playing with one another. They get great strength from our group and great strength from our team. You know, most of the time when a guy's like scoring a lot of points, you know, he can do it in an isolated fashion, but not those two guys. Those guys do it in collection with the group of guys they have on the floor. They have a great energy and connection with the guys, and they really play well together. And you know, we're you know, obviously we're fired up for the season that they're having, but we're not surprised. Jamison Battle had an amazing freshman year, a little bit under the radar for how good a freshman year that he had, and he really dedicated himself to getting his body right and working on his game. You know, doing when he was at home during COVID, and he really got a lot better, and he was excited for the opportunity. He's a guy who has a tremendous basketball IQ, so his growth in this game, it can really be as far as he wants to take it. You know, and James Bishop's the same way. Every single day, he's the last guy to at least practice every day. A guy is an outstanding shooter and player, but really has a personality where he loves being with the guys and being with our team and doing whatever you want to do to have the ability to win. So when you have your two guys that are leading your team in scoring and assists or rebounds, whatever, and they're so super unselfish, your team's going to keep getting better, and their growth is infinite at how good they can be.
And not very often do you get to talk about a guy that's averaging a double-double behind those two guys. You have Matt Moyer, who's one of a couple guys in the A-10 that's doing that. I'm sure you've had lofty expectations since you were recruiting him, but what can you say about Matt and what he's done to grow his game this year?
Yeah, you know, I think the first thing I did is that word expectation is something I always run away from, right? So I always say expectation's like a dream that you can never achieve, right? And so expectation keeps growing and growing and growing. And so one thing I did with him was I didn't have any expectation. What I wanted him to do was to come here and find himself, to find his voice, because he has a tremendous basketball IQ. He's a tremendous passion and energy for the game. And I think at the other stops, people would put expectation on his back and want him to be something that maybe he wasn't. I want him to find his voice. And you know, watching him play in some of the big moments in college basketball and watching his high school stuff, he's a guy who's a tremendous fit for any team. And you know, defensively, when you look at what he's able to do at 6'9", with his ability to defend every position, and you know, he's a fantastic player. And so I didn't want to put any expectation on him. I wanted him to really find himself, and I think he's done that within our program. You know, when he transferred in, I talked a lot to him about collaborating with him. He's got so many great experiences. He's played for great head coaches. You know, man, it's not necessarily me telling him what to do all the time. I want to collaborate. I want to get his information. I want to listen to him and how he feels and what he's thinking. And he's done an unbelievable job of elevating our team and leading our team. And you know, again, I'm really happy that I get to coach him for at least 1 year, because he's just a fantastic person, fantastic team leader, and he's really putting together a special season.
And last question for you in terms of some new guys that we're seeing as part of this new rotation in conference play. First-year guards Lincoln Ball, Tyler Brailsford, we're starting to see their confidence come through. What have you seen from them, and what are you liking about it?
Well, you know, when we had the departures from the roster after Christmas, you know, I stood in front of our team, and I just told them I believed in our group. And I felt like our team just had an amazing toughness that was waiting to emerge. And big reason for that is that Lincoln Ball and Tyler Brailsford and Noel Brown, who's played some huge moments for us as well after Christmas, I just believe in those guys. You know, they're guys that we recruited for over a year, so we know them really well. We know their personalities. Their type of personalities, when the team needs them the most, they're always going to step up, and they're always going to be ready. They're going to spend time every day getting ready and preparing for the game. And Lincoln Ball at 6'5", at 220 pounds, a guy who can play right away and defend and do all the things you need to do. But he's got a tremendous talent of bringing our group together, you know, and making all these little plays and loving to do those things. When you look at Tyler Brailsford, what a tremendous scorer and high basketball IQ guy. He's played some of the best AAU basketball in the country and played one of the best high schools in the country in Mount St. Joe. And, you know, so just having a ton of confidence in those guys. And then Noel Brown, which is amazing. When he steps on the floor and has to play some post defense, he's one of the strongest guys probably in our league, but definitely on our team. And so as he's continued to learn the game, watching his first impression when he guards guys and how strong he is, has really set some guys back. And he's done an amazing job. He's got a bright future. And again, I love our roster. I love the guys we have, because I think they have a tremendous ability to want to be connected with something bigger than themselves. And they're showing that with how they're playing right now.
Absolutely. A lot of excitement and still a lot of time to go in the season. Coach, thanks again so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little softball. Shane Winkler, the head coach of GW, is here after this break. Welcome back to Raise High at GW. As always, thanks to head men's basketball coach Jamie and Christian for his time. And now we are set to talk softball. Spring sports are less than a month away. Here's the head coach, Shane Winkler. Coach, appreciate the time. How you doing?
Oh, great. Thanks for having me.
You know, it's been such a wild year for everybody. You guys were the first to be affected way back in March. It was right in the middle of your season. Now here we are, 10 months later, and you're setting up for another season. How did you, going back to March, take us through those first conversations with your team when you found out you wouldn't be playing anymore?
You know, heading up to March 10th, which was our final doubleheader against Bucknell, we knew there was some potential for a stoppage. We didn't know if it would be short term or long term. The Ivy League had already canceled right up to that point. So we had some talk of, hey, this could be our last game, or every time we go out could be our last game. But when you got to finally have that conversation, it's tough. Because when you have a team like ours, which is so close-knit, and we really focus on relationships and our culture, when you go in and have that meeting, it's devastating, especially for the seniors that we had on the team, having to break it to them that's the way their season and their career was going to end. It's tough. We really went back to 2 straight seasons of having to have a tough conversation to finish our season the way we didn't expect. In 2019, it was canceling our championship game of Atlantic 10 play, and obviously in 2020 is cutting it with the pandemic. So really 2 tough ways that we didn't plan on having the seasons finish out on the field. But from there, you really just you turn the page and really start thinking about player safety, getting them home to their families, making sure they're safe, making sure they're taken care of, and then really focusing on obviously finishing the semester strong academically, which our girls did. So we've been able to turn the page at this point from those tough days and really get geared towards this 2021 season.
What was the fall semester like? Because you weren't able to get the whole team back, and usually you have fall ball. So what's the fall semester been like to get prepared for this season?
You know, we had 17 of our 23 players here for the fall. So we had a good majority, a great mix of young kids, and we were able to bring back some 5th-year seniors. We had a couple 5th-year seniors transfer in. So we had a great group here on campus. But fall really went better than we could have expected. Obviously, you're dodging all the protocols and doing what you need to with social distancing and making through practices and learning how that's going to go on a day-to-day basis. But when we really got back on the field, it got back to feeling as close to normal as we could. We got through 17 scrimmages in the fall. Usually we'll have 8 outside competition games. So we dove in and had every weekend we had scrimmages. We were able to show them online to some parents and let them see their kids play and everything a little bit, which was great. But getting an opportunity to play live games after having the spring cut short, and then our new recruits that came in, they didn't get to play as much during the summer as normal. So we got a lot of live competition, which was great, getting back on the field and competing.
So safe to say your excitement level, when you mentioned what's happened the last 2 seasons, is very high to try and get through a normal season here in 2020 as best as possible with the team that you have coming back.
No, this excitement couldn't be any higher. Like I said, a lot of teams, when you get the season cut short, are going to hashtag unfinished business. We went through 2019 where we felt like going into 2020 we had unfinished business from not getting to complete the conference championship, and then obviously having 2020 cut short, you feel like you have unfinished business. So we've got a core group that were part of both of those seasons that are ready to go. So once we got everyone home back in March and got everyone safe, and we were able to turn the page probably at the end of March, April, really started focusing on the fall and heading into 2021 season, and really focused on our culture, really getting stronger in that aspect, and raising the excitement level and getting everyone geared to go for this season. So like I said, we've got some upperclassmen back. We had a lot of injuries in the 2020 season that we were battling through to finish up that year. We've got those kids back healthy, ready to go. So the talent level, the depth on our roster, and the excitement couldn't be any higher.
I'll say you don't need any extra motivation, but you channeled the 2019 Nats World Series run to bring that into your team in terms of that type of mantra. Where did that come from? What did you see from them that you wanted to bring to your program?
You know, obviously being so close here in DC to the team, and that was such a special Washington Nationals team, obviously, coming from where they did early in the season, being a last place team and battling through. I mean, you have a team like that you really can tell that their chemistry and their energy was something different. In a day and age where analytics kind of drives everything in professional sports, obviously there's a side of that for a team like theirs, but you see just the chemistry in the dugout and the energy that they bring from their home run celebrations, things like that. That really made a difference. I mean, the veterans that they had on that ball club and how they brought some of their young kids along. I mean, that was the difference between them knocking off a couple of the giants that they did in the playoffs, like the Dodgers and the Astros and the things that they did. So you have an underdog team that was able to accomplish big things, and we feel like we bring a lot of that with our team. Going through the situation like we did, the 2020 season, even before the pandemic, we battled through a lot of injuries. We lost our number one pitcher. We lost our 3 and 4 hole hitter during the season. Then we got to the before the pandemic. We finished up. We won 8 out of 11 games at the end of that season there. So we finished strong, but we took a lot of things that Davey Martinez and them talked about with the Nationals. You know, the bumpy roads lead to beautiful places. We're still waiting for the beautiful places coming in the 2021 season. We feel like the bumpy roads that we went through in 20 and going through the pandemic and getting through a fall semester is going to lead us there. And then also the mentality that they talked about through the struggles and through the season, that going 1-0 every day. I mean, that's been big for our program, getting through from April all the way until now, and we'll continue to use it throughout the spring, is just going 1-0 every single day, making sure that we get better every day.
So on that theme, let's do a Raise High at GW exclusive, rapid fire, get to know the GW softball team.
All right.
But we're gonna do it with some 2019 Nationals and who plays that role on your team. You ready?
Sounds good.
All right, who is your Max Scherzer?
Max Scherzer, I'm going to cheat and not go with a pitcher, but Jess Lindquist would be our Max Scherzer. When you watch Max pitch, he's got that mentality, that intensity about him every single pitch, and that's the type of player Jess is. She's a veteran, she's a 5th-year senior, and you watch her in the box, and it's that same type of intensity and mentality of me versus you one-on-one, and there's no way I'm going to lose this pitch, and that's the type of player that Jess is.
Who's your Juan Soto?
Juan Soto, that's Sierra Lang for us. One, just that smile, that energy, that positivity that he'd bring and that she brings to our team. But you got a 5-tool player right there with the talent. You got a player that can do it all, and that's Sierra Lang.
Who's your Howie Kendrick?
Howie Kendrick, that would be probably our Faith Weber. Faith's a vet for us, but she's got that mentality that she can keep everything even keel, the positivity. She may not be the all-conference player of the year type player, but in a big moment like Howie, she's going to step up and do something big, like he did throughout the playoffs and the World Series. That's a Faith Weber. She's the type of player that you want up in the 7th inning in a tight ball game and to make the difference for us.
Who's your Gerardo Parra, and do they use Baby Shark as a walk-up?
Our Parra, I'd say, is Sydney Bloomfield. One with rocking the sunglasses all the time, but you don't get many personalities like that. She's the one that's always going to keep things loose, keep everyone around her loose, like Parra would, and the Baby Shark, obviously, with the crowd. She doesn't play the Baby Shark. We may have to start doing that as we get through the season, but she's the one that has that type of personality and that energy that she brings to our dugout.
And then lastly, who's your Anthony Rendon?
That's probably the easiest. That's Jenna Cohn for us, our 3rd baseman. She's Conference Player of the Year. She's an RBI machine. One of those quiet leaders, just like Rendon was for the Nationals. We've got her for 1 more year, which I'm sure everyone else in the Atlantic 10 feels like she's been in the conference for 10 years. But we're looking forward to her performing just as he did, and hopefully leading us to a championship as well.
Well, we're finally looking forward to a safe and successful season, Coach. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you having me.
That'll do it for Raise High at GW. For Shane Winkler and for Jamie and Christian, I'm Kevin Burke. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon.